Alrighty, so this is the intro for episode 4 of the Dylan Allen Show. This episode features Mike Casey of the Let's Get Weird podcast. I normally don't do intros for podcasts just because I really don't like doing them or listening to them. But for this episode, I thought because it's so graphic and it's so not safe for work, it's definitely NSFW, that I'd throw a little intro on here just to give a little context to what you're about to hear. So Mike and I met at PSAV, the branch in Kansas City, at the Sheraton Hotel, which is the biggest hotel in Kansas City, where we were working on AV projects. And we became quick friends. He's hilarious. I love Mike to death. He's a great guy. We just talk about all things podcasting, AV, and comedy, mostly comedy. I just want to warn you in this podcast, I definitely say some crazy stuff. Mike's known for saying crazy stuff, so that's not a big deal. But, I just want to give you a heads up and let you know that, the purpose of this podcast is to have fun and to connect with people and to create new ideas and to create new projects and things of that nature. And I feel like I really accomplished that on this podcast. So I hope you enjoy it. Music, once again, is brought to you by Bonus Points. That guy's awesome. Check him out on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube under Bonus Points. He's got some dope stuff. And welcome to the show.
Testing. Check 1, 2.
Testicle 1, 2, and 3.
All right.
All right. We're all here. The gang's all here.
The gang is all here. We got the fishy lens going.
We do.
That'll be the cover art for the podcast.
All right, yeah.
I'll go ahead and pull up a bunch of comedy stuff that we've been having.
Dude, we need to get to work on that.
Yeah, we do. So, what I was telling you about iCloud is that I have iCloud on my Mac, and with the last update of Mac Sierra, High Sierra, there's something hidden in the user agreement where if you click on it and agree with it, it syncs everything on your desktop and documents folder onto iCloud, which for most people is fine because they just have a bunch of business documents or whatever. But for me, I have like 80 gigs.
Dick pics?
Well, a lot of dick pics. A lot of dick pics. But also like 80 gigs of dick video. So it's like...
Is that a real thing?
Not the dick videos.
Oh, okay.
But 80 gigs of HD video.
Oh.
So it's like, well, once it was on iCloud, it bricked my computer. Like I couldn't use my computer because it wouldn't sync. It would just be like, we can't get anything off, we can't get anything on.
Yeah, I've been there.
There it is.
I can't get off or get things on at the same time. I'm going to interject here. Why do you have a shirtless dude in the picture behind you?
That's my grandfather.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. I was like some dude that you're like, all right, let me take a picture of that. Is he like a bodybuilder or something? Or?
I mostly scour the internet for old pictures of men.
I mean, I don't know. I just was like, well, it's next to a bit of wood. I don't know if there's some sort of symbolism there.
You got a lot of. You're reading a lot into this.
Dude, I feel like he's just like staring into my soul.
I can move.
No, I mean, I want him to be part of it, It's not a big deal or anything. It's just
go ahead.
All right, there we go. Yeah. Well, that's good.
No, he was my dad's dad, and he was a naval pilot and died when he was younger than me.
Oh, damn,
so,
dude.
I never knew him. My dad
crazy.
barely knew him. So I'd like to keep his picture up.
I always like to say that my grandpa... Like, for years, I always just assumed he was in some war, And so I would say that he was, and my mom's like,
well, hold on.
No?
What war did you think that he was in?
Well, okay, when I was, like, really young, I would say my grandpa and grandma met in World War II. And that was obviously incredibly false, because they... Anyway. So, I was like, yeah, he was a sergeant in the naval something or other, Marine Corps. Hiya. And then my mom would be like, no, he did construction work. He was never in the war. Him and Grandma never met that way. I'm like, oh, well, there's like 600 children out there that think that My grandpa was some sort of crazy war hero.
What made you think that? Just because he's old?
I think one time I heard someone else say that their grandpa had a Purple Heart, and then I was like, oh, that's cool. My grandpa's got 3 of them or something, and then it just spawned from the, you know what I mean? Like, just being a kid, just being like...
Just getting in some one-upsmanship on the
Yeah,
playground.
exactly, yeah. Well, my grandpa lost 3 limbs, thanks.
That's cool,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah.
But, like, I never knew my grandpa, so I pretty much could just make up anything about him, and
Really?
nobody would ever ask, because he'd be like, well, let's see it. And I was like, well, he's dead. Thanks a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I can't show you his Purple Hearts, Bobby, because he's fucking dead.
have you ever like done that thing where, I mean, I guess I don't know. Like as a kid, I feel like I've said things that I thought were true, and then I eventually just believed that that's what happened.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what I mean? For
Yeah.
years, I just was like, oh, yeah, you know, this is what...
Like, you tell yourself a story, and then towards, a couple of years in, you're like, that is the story.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's what's fucking happened. And people are like, no, you do not have 2 fathers. I'm like, no, I do, remember?
You thought you had 2 fathers?
Well, it's weird. So I'm the only one in my family, youngest of 7, I'm the only one in my family that has red hair. Like my grandpas have red hair, but nobody ever really mentioned that. My sisters have brown and my brothers have black. And I have red hair. Yeah.
Black hair?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they have black hair, my sisters have brown hair, and I have like red hair.
Yeah.
And like even my brother's beards were like black.
Really?
And so my dad would always say that he's just like, he would tell me as like a child, because I remember this from being a kid, he would tell me, oh, well, the only person that had red hair around here was our old milkman.
What?
I'm like, yeah, and so like that was the joke. Like I was the milkman's kid,
That's
but my
hilarious.
dad would tell me that like as a kid, and I'd be like, I'm not your son. Like, what?
I'm
But
not
then,
one of ye.
I mean, luckily, I think for him, I took it really well because I made it. I was just like, oh, that's hilarious. I'm gonna tell people that like I'm adopted or
Right.
something, or whatever I thought it was at the time. But my dad actually, when I was being born, he made that joke. So like that was a day one joke. They're like, look at all that red hair, and he's like, our milkman has red hair, and like while my mom is like just pushed me out, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like
in the delivery room.
yeah, like he had the delivery ready in the delivery room, and but then the milkman's wife was a nurse in that hospital.
Yep.
And they went and told, because it's Jeff City, everybody knows
Right.
each other. So they like ran down the hall and they're like, you'll never believe what Jim Casey said.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And then like my dad never lived it down.
And that
It was
milkman
like,
was just siring children all over Jeff City.
yeah, exactly.
Just delivering milk and
yeah,
making babies.
He did drive a truck, but I never really remember him delivering milk. Just
I feel like
his code.
At this stage of your life, you could go back and look at that milkman and then look at your father and decide who do you think your real father was. Like
I have a lot of like traits from my dad, but you could learn that from anybody just by being with him long enough.
Right, that could be environmental.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. Do you look like your siblings?
Yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, but
You got an Irish
but I
clan
look.
going.
I was gonna say I look more like my mom than my dad.
Yep.
So I don't know what my real dad looks like.
That's
throwing it
hilarious.
I mean, I'm sure my dad is my dad, but being a child, I'm just like, I'm not your son. Oh.
I think every kid goes through the phase of like either thinking they're adopted or wanting to be adopted.
I don't think. Yeah, I never wanted to be adopted. Like I was never hoping that I was actually the one that was adopted. I always was like, somebody else be adopted. I don't want that fucking baggage.
Well, I remember as a kid being like, "There's no way I'm really related to these people. I've got to be like somebody else's kid or something."
These people are fucking.
We just don't have anything in common.
Yeah.
It's like, how
I
is this
think
possible?
Maybe as a kid I thought that, but then as I grow into adult, I'm sure my family must be like, man, he must not be part of our family because so many dick jokes and so many,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I'm busting out the wow at family dinner, I'm like, pass the rolls, oh yeah,
All right.
yeah. Going out to get some P squared, Mom. I'll be home soon. Yeah.
P squared.
Don't wait up. That's potential pussy.
There it is. P squared.
P squared. Yeah.
P squared.
That's how you say it safely.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
P squared, bro. You get a cube in there, you got a fun Friday night.
What's the third P?
I don't know, but yeah. Penis. I don't. Yeah. Potential pussy penis. I don't. Who knows?
Working on the trans
It's gonna
angle.
get wild though. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's a perfect segue into how like you're different from the rest of your family from the Casey puss story.
Oh yeah. famous. Yeah, so in one of my favorite stories in Kansas City, I was at work basically, and everybody has like these text stories going through or whatever, like the fucking group messages.
Yeah.
And so I'm on like 3 different group messages, and hi. I'm on like 3 different. Sorry, I'm drunk, everybody. It's not even noon, and I'm already fucking plastered. But I'm on like 3 different like messages going on. One of them's with my family, and they're just going constantly like blah 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 blah, and like it just like ding 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 ding, and I'm at work and I'm like sitting in a room, and it's just like bugging me because I'm also in another conversation with some friends of mine, and it's just going like ding 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 ding, like what the fuck is happening? And so then I kind of catch glances of what's happening during the situation, and my my friends are talking, they're just like something like, yeah, we need to get Mike laid this weekend or something like that. And so I'm texting back, and I'm just like, that's the one response I've sent in like 2 hours of just constant messages happening. And I'm just like, man, I don't need any help because I've been crushing that Kansas City pussy. And so I send it out, and I'm just like, yeah, that was pretty good. And then I get a phone call. Like I'm like sitting in a room, teching a room, and I get a phone call from my dad, and I'm like, what? So I kind of like sneak out, and I answer, and he's like, oh, hey, Michael, do you realize what you just did? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, apparently you're crushing all the Kansas City pussy. And I'm like, oh my God, did I send that to the wrong... So like I'm at work, I gotta go. Yeah, like
stomach drop.
Yeah,
like,
oh my gosh,
no.
So I look at my phone, and I'm going through, and I accidentally sent it to my family members that were that were talking to each other. And it's funny because there were it was just constant everybody messaging each other, and then it just went dead, and then there was nothing. Like after I had said that, so I obviously ruined the mood. So I'm going through, I'm like, what the fuck were they talking about? And it turns out, like, right before that, they were talking about apologizing to my mom for my grandma who had just died. Like, literally the weekend before. And my mom was talking about how upset she was about it.
Oh, God.
And then the next thing you see is we say, I've been crushing that Kansas City pussy. And then just silence. Like, dead silence. Dead silence
hilarious.
After that. I'm like... oh no!
I like to picture all of your family members' reactions when they see that text, where they're like, "Oh, Grandma passed. Everyone's sad. This is horrible." And then, ding, and they just look over their phone. It's like Mike Casey. Well, I've been crushing this Kansas City pussy. So what's up?
So what's up, Grandma? You get damn.
I took her death the least hardest.
Yeah, exactly. I've been hard doing other things, but it was just crazy because. But then, I felt so bad for my mom, but she, like, when I called her and I was like, I'm so sorry. And actually, in recent years, that has happened a lot where, like, I've meant to send something to someone else and it's been, like, really inappropriate. Yep. But I actually somehow send it to one of my parents and I have to be like, oh, damn, autocorrect. Like, that wasn't supposed to say, look at my 12-inch cock. It was supposed to say, like, check out this 12-inch pizza or something.
One of those people that's on, like, the Chive, like, autocorrect with their mom's text.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
It's just like a full Mike Casey gallery.
It happens, like, and I don't even know how it happens. So now I make a point to delete, like, every message of my family unless I just have, like, the person I'm supposed to be talking to.
There needs to be, like, bins for your text where you go into, like, your family bin, your friends bin. Because, like, yeah, you'll have, like, your mom and your dad and then, like, your friends, like, right next to each other. And the way that you talk to them is completely different. It's so different.
Yeah. Although, it's funny because being away from my family for so long and then, like, just moving back, because, I was in Kansas City. I moved to Columbia. And then now that I've moved back, and I see my parents, like, every other day, they were just like, when did you start talking like this? I'm like, oh, yeah, because, like, I'll just say, like, fuck and shit and whatever, because I'm just so used to that still. And, or I'll do the, wow, and then my, like,
your mom's gotta
seriously,
love that.
yeah. And also, I think I've developed, I don't know, I mean, my dad said at dinner one time, we were having a family dinner, and I was saying something to my sister, and I was like, honestly, you know, I feel like I was one of those kids that probably should have been on some sort of medication.
Like Ritalin or
something, you know what I mean? And then my dad like chimes in. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I mean, like we knew that, but we didn't want to be those type of parents to like make you take medicine." And he's like, "But I mean, obviously you should have been on something." I'm
obviously.
like, "Oh, cool."
Hilarious.
Thanks. So I think they kind of understand when I get like real crazy and wild, but yeah, it's fucking.
Do you feel like you need medicine now for that?
Fuck no,
Nice.
man. Come on, dude.
Well,
I don't want my dick to shrink.
There it is. What if that's a side effect of all psychiatric medication?
Medication.
Where it's like, all right, this is gonna fix your brain, but it's gonna shrink your dick to a micro.
I'll take
level.
the cancer. No, thank you. I've got too many chicks to email to say like, I'm sorry, my dick size is shrinking. They just be like, no,
too many
don't do the medicine.
The old girl email newsletter.
Exactly.
I don't even do a separate email. I just send that email
I don't got
blast.
time for that. Yeah.
It's got some nice pictures, some clip art.
Yeah.
It's formatted nice. I use MailChimp.
I got two different chicks, but they should feel special because I take a picture of one side of my dick for one of them and then take a picture for the other.
Classic.
All I can say is like, thank God that Apple has panoramic view because now I can take an accurate picture of my cock.
Nailed it.
Yeah, just there you go, babe.
I want to know if your mom knows the origin of the wow.
I honestly, I was gonna.
She seems like the kind of woman that would be into that. Like that comedy.
Oh. Well, you know, it's funny. They don't even know I have a podcast. Like, no one in my family knows I have a podcast. It's really because I live like a double life. Because my parents, like, as much as like they're into comedy and stuff,
yeah,
they're super like suspicious about people that like put stuff on the internet.
Why?
Like, because they're just like, that'll be on there forever.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, my mom will be like, do you have a Facebook? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, what do you post on there? You post anything inappropriate? I'm like, no, I mean, no. Right. I was like, I think the most inappropriate thing I post is, like, smoking cigars, which is the most harmless thing.
It just shows that you're a baller.
Exactly, yeah. You know, it's like, well, I did post a couple pictures of me slapping some women on there. I mean, you know, that's just bygones, whatever.
Just James Brown.
Yeah, exactly. Throwing TV remotes at Rihanna's or here and there, no big deal. But
I mean, that is true for some people, you know.
Yeah, like there was a person at our old job that recently just got fired because he posted on Facebook about how he was like, "Fuck this place, I can't handle it anymore."
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Jay Parks.
Jay Parks. I don't think I knew him.
Josh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Josh Park.
I didn't know he got fired. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was part-time, so he didn't care. But yeah, I guess, yeah. So I've, like, never really posted anything, like, too racy. Yeah. And sometimes, luckily for me, I'm not a political person either. Because I know some, like, teachers and stuff that have gotten in trouble at school.
For sure.
Because they're just like, you can't post... Right. You know, that Donald Trump is a fucking something or other.
Yep.
Even if you think he is, but you teach children.
Right.
You can't fucking do that.
No, I keep telling my brother, like, he's trying to get a job with a corporation doing data analysis, but his Twitter feed looks like a neoliberal. And I'm just like, you can't have that shit on there. You know?
Yeah.
Like, they don't want that.
Yeah, I know. It's
Even
crazy.
if that's how you feel, don't broadcast it publicly.
Exactly. That's why, like, on my Facebook, I don't promote... Like, on my personal Facebook, I don't promote the Let's Get Weird.
Oh, really?
And then but I do have, like, well, it's crazy. I don't know, it's weird. Like, I've already gotten approval for my work as long as I, like, don't mention them by name.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? Because I went through, basically, when I got that job.
I wondered about that, yeah.
When I got that job, I was like, here's the thing. Like, I do this side project, you know.
Here's the thing. I'm a dirty motherfucker on the side.
Yeah, like, I'm very professional at work, and I will give you 100% effort. But I have this side project that I do on my own time with my own equipment. And if you need me to cease and desist, I will.
Right on.
You know,
at least you gave him that option.
For the job.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to know that I'm not breaking any rules. Like, well, do you mention us by name? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just like... And we don't care.
It is kind of fucked up if you think about it because it's like free speech. It's like you have the right. I mean, just because we're talking into microphones, we're still just saying whatever we are saying. You know? So it's like you shouldn't have to worry about.
Yeah, it's not like we're rallying people up to fucking start a war or something. But...
Even if we were, it's still not really a crime. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we just
touch
feet. Touch feet. Right. Yeah, touch toes.
And then it got intimate.
Who wants to go home now?
Lay in the music. Mike brought in a smooth McCafe
Dude, I did.
caramel.
It's so funny because I ate something that was cheesy before I came in, and now I have something that has a bunch of dairy in it. It's the worst combination for people that are on the air.
Go on, get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ate some sour cream before you come over, and I can feel it in my throat. That's why I keep going.
Gross, dude.
I know.
I don't want to hear about that shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, finally getting to the point. Thanks for having me on as a guest. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I do run a podcast. I was actually really proud of that because for years I'd wanted to start one.
Yeah.
And I had all the resources to do it. I just never did it. And then when I moved back home, a buddy of mine, I'm going to call him a mooch, but no, he's a really good dude.
Are you talking about the 12 gauge ninja?
Yeah, 12 gauge ninja. Yeah, you know him. No, he's a really good dude. He's been a really good friend of mine for a long time.
Right.
But he just has like a lot of free time.
Sure.
And so I was just like, hey man, like, you want to like do the podcast with me? And he's like, yeah, I'll be like a guest star. And I was like, no, like, you want to be like a co-host? And he's like, oh. Yeah, but I mean, he's really put a lot of effort into the project and stuff.
Nice.
Like, he's always been there to record and stuff.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's been really cool having like a second person. But it's funny because we make zero money on the podcast.
Sure.
Like, we don't do ads.
Right.
There was a stint where I like made fake ads.
Yeah.
And I was putting those up. Those are coming back.
For the spray print?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
The cock
Like
block?
the cock block and the spray print and the congratulations, which was like a 55 love drum of lube. It was a 55 love drum of
just a keg of lube.
like fake cum that you could like splatter on your walls and stuff to make it look like you've been having a lot of sex.
Holy
like,
God.
everybody's come over, yeah, the fucked up things that we think about.
I mean, that'd be like a good like college level, like something you could sell at Spencer's, where it's like if you want to prank your roommate or something.
Oh yeah,
where it's like they come home and you leave a black light on, there's just shit everywhere all over the wall.
Yeah, congratulations.
Like, think about if you had a keg that you could put in the middle of a room and just pull a tab, like a pop can, like pull it and it just goes boom. It was like
a smoke
non-toxic.
grenade, but a fucking
yeah. Like
cum
gas
grenade.
just goes everywhere. Cum grenade.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, you fucking like just like bite off the tip, and fucking throw it in, yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. But yeah, so those are making a comeback with new original ideas. But it's funny because it started out with just the two of us with like one microphone, and it was a really shitty like it was in my buddy's house, and he had like I don't know, he just had like a really terrible set. I mean I was the one that was like, yeah, let's do it in here, but it was just like, I don't know, it was in like a longish hallway, and it was just like very boom boom boom, like echoey, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That reminds me, I was gonna ask you, I have a bunch of foam for soundproofing, but I didn't bring it up here.
Oh, that's all good. Yeah.
So we definitely could have. I was thinking about putting foam in the corners, you know.
Well, that, or you know what you should do is you should buy, or you should like get. You wouldn't probably even have to buy it, but basically, you should get it so that it can just like wrap around each person.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So that way, like, you could just like wheel it up and put it like right behind each person.
Interesting.
Because the point of, like, I've seen people that have like covered their whole fucking room, which is nice but unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because basically you just need it like wherever you're talking to, you don't want the bounce back.
Gotcha.
So like if you had one behind you,
right,
I wouldn't get a bounce back, and if I had one behind me.
Oh, okay, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know a lot more about audio than I do. So
and I don't even know that much.
Well, you know enough.
So,
DJ Cockstrong.
DJ Cockstrong, Mike Tasty. Ladies, put your panties together for Mike Tasty.
I mean, we did meet at PSAV.
That is true. I was going to talk about the first day that we met.
Yeah?
Because you had said something to me that was...
Here it goes.
It was like the greatest line. And I say it to people all the time. Like, I met this dude at PSAV, and he really opened my eyes to something. Because I remember that day, it was you and Chelsea who were like, and I'd never met you guys before. Really? And somebody was telling me, they're like, yeah, there's two new people, they're part-timers in the room, you should go introduce yourself. And I was like, okay. And in my head, I kept thinking, I was like, Mike, you're terrible at first impressions because you just immediately start with the cock jokes. Like, I was like, go in there and just be a fucking professional. And so I like walk up to you guys, and I don't even remember what I said, but I'm sure I just said something really fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then I remember because I'm like, oh, here it comes. They're just going to like reject me or something. And you just kind of looked at me and you're just like, huh. Like, and like you walked away and I was so nervous. I was just like, oh no, like he's gonna report me or something. So, because I didn't know anything about you guys. So then I went ahead and said something fucked up again, and then you like kind of pulled me aside, and you're like, yeah, how long have you worked here? And I was like, going on like 3.5 years, and then like without missing a beat, you just looked at me, you said, and not one HR report. And I was like, and I got really nervous, and you're like, I mean, even if they fired you tomorrow, you'd have a good run. I was just like, oh, cool. Like, does that mean you're gonna report me here? Just like the look of amazement. I'm like, man, I must have said something real fucked up.
I like how from the jump I was just analyzing the situation like, this guy's getting away with murder over here.
Exactly, yeah.
That's amazing.
I know, dude. It was like the greatest. I tell people that all the time. I'm just like, yeah, I met this dude and he said something, and immediately just opened my eye to like, yeah, I'm surprised I have been here this long, not been fired.
It is crazy. Well,
the amount of times that my phrase has been, did you try rubbing your dong on it? And then people are like, what? And I'm like, it always works for me. Like,
that's such a great AV comeback, though. Where they're like, you can't get this projector to sync with this. It's like, why did you rub your dong on it?
Yeah. Did you try every possible combination?
And they're like, no. Yeah. We didn't rub our dongs on it.
Yeah, but sometimes it's harmless. Like, one of my most famous jokes from there was...
Gotta have a sense of humor. I mean, fuck, man.
Yeah,
corporations are just brutal.
Dude, I know. When we were in an elevator, my boss was in there, and he was freaking out because he was like... Because he found us all in the lunchroom or something, trying to eat. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what
trying
are
to
you?
sustain ourselves.
You guys ever replaced yourselves with robotic body parts yet? Like I have, or whatever. And so, but he's like, get your asses back upstairs. We gotta get to work. So we're in the elevator, and you can tell he's just like trying to ream us, but he's just like, I'm just trying to get through the day or whatever. So there's like 9 of us just fucking crammed in this elevator. And he's like, you do realize that this set has to be done by 6. And I'm just like, a clock? And like, it just like diffused, like everyone's like busting out laughing. Because like, and I pull him aside, I'm like, yeah, we know, like, we're not fucking stupid.
Oh, man.
It was just funny because everybody just, and then like you could tell that he like lost all authority at that point,
right?
Because everyone was no longer afraid of the situation.
A lot of people don't know how to handle that. It's like you make a joke about something that they take seriously, and it's like they just.
I think I saw sparks coming out of his neck because he was just like, I don't know what's happening.
Something in their brain just implodes, and you see a cloud of smoke, and it's like, what?
One of my favorite things. I mean, I feel bad because I'm the one that started the whole "our boss is a robot" thing.
Who are you talking about?
And Tyler.
Oh, okay.
And so my old
our
boss
is a robot.
My old boss, like, because he would just like he would show up on time every day. He was very proper, very tall, very, you know what I mean.
Right.
He was like the Terminator of going to work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
And everything was super proper and has to be done like exactly correct or whatever. And so one day he asked us to do something ridiculous, like in 15 minutes to run like a ridiculous amount of something somewhere. And so he was like, yeah, you're going to have to pull power from here, here, and here. And then I was like, what do you want me to do? Just bend over and have him plug it into your ass or something? Like, you're going to charge up all that power? And then, like, because in my head, I was like, because you're a fucking robot, So I kind of started that. And then I told a story about how one day I came into work early, like early. And I, like, open up the door to the office and it's all dark. And I just see, like, a light on the wall. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I, like, kind of creep down the stairs. And then all of a sudden, like, Tyler like gets up and is like the lights in his eyes goes off and he's just like, oh, what are you doing here so early? Or whenever he was on.
Slept there?
No, but I mean like I was saying, like he was charging and his like his headlights were on or something. I don't know.
Like Wall-E.
But, yeah, exactly. And or that like his hair color would go from blonde to yellow when he was on low battery power.
That's
like,
hilarious.
I don't know, but I feel bad because then everybody calls him the robot behind his back, but.
I like Tyler.
I mean, yeah, he's a good dude when I'm not working.
He reminds me of Tom Hanks' character in The Polar Express, where he's like very punctual and he's like,
oh yeah, dude.
tapping his wrist.
Yeah, there was I mean, he actually did find this pretty funny, but
he's a good manager.
He is a good manager. He would kill me if he heard me talking shit on him, but
well, it doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. But
plus, they'd probably be happy to have you back. They're hurting.
I know. It's nice. I mean, honestly, for all the shit they put me through all those years, it's nice to just kind of see him like Because they kept telling, you know, I mean, I would threaten to leave, and they're just like, we don't need you here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But they really did.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go there.
Yeah, it is great. People don't realize that a lot of times at workplaces where it's like if one person leaves, they're kind of the linchpin, and if you take it out, everything kind of falls apart. Not that the whole place is falling apart there, but the last couple times I've worked there, I've been like, wow, this is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really terrible. I'm just like, I can't deal with it.
I heard a lot of people haven't been having fun there anymore. I was like the fun zone there.
Not only not fun, but just like no one knows what they're doing. Like, I mean, they don't have like any leaders on the floor doing things anymore. So it's just like, well, if you could maybe do that. It's just like, Jesus Christ, what do we need to do?
What the... We're going to be free-spirited today. You just do what you want to do. You know?
That's hilarious.
That's fucking awesome.
Hold on one second. Check. Okay, we're back on. Booyah.
Rubbing dongs is just kind of what I do.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Rubbing dongs.
Sorry, we had to take a break for him to dock me for a minute. You know,
dock you.
You know what that is?
Negative.
Okay, so I never thought I would have to know what this was, but I was working at our old job.
Yeah.
Your current job.
One of them.
Yeah, one day, and there was this like really weird dude that was there, and he was like, I was helping him lift something up, and he's like, man, don't get too close because I don't want you to dock me, and I thought he meant like punch him. And I was like, no, man, I ain't gonna dock you. And then he's just like, no. He's like, you even know what docking is? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, it's where like two dudes put the tips of their dicks together, Jesus. And then one dude takes his uncircumcised part and puts it over the other dude's dick. And
Lord.
And like Matt was there too, and he just kind of did like a double take. He's like, "What the fuck did I just hear?" And then he's like, "Mike, you trying to dock somebody over there?" And I'm like, I can't. I don't have the extra skin. Nobody has to worry about me docking.
I would always have to be the receiver.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll try anything.
Just have to find some Jewish guys, I guess.
They call it the Chinese finger trap where I'm from.
The Cleveland Express.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Cleveland. Fuck yeah. Dude.
That is super gross. Good God.
So what you got in store for your podcast coming up, man? What are some things you...
I mean, my podcast, so basically the goal of it is just to talk to people about, how they grew up, what their kind of passions are in life, what they want to be doing, and then either how they're doing it or how they can be doing it, kind of a thing. And just kind of move through that process, I
gotta get you to Columbia someday so you can be on our podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be there on the 18th for Colby's nephew's graduation.
What?
Yep.
You should just take a couple extra days or an extra day or something. Dude. That'd be awesome.
I might be able to sketch out some time while she's doing family stuff and just pop over. And how you liking Columbia?
Dude, it's fucking incredible.
I
mean, I think it's just because I've got a really good job,
I'll make a big difference.
Yeah, but it also is funny too that like, I don't know, just I don't even though work is like across the street from me, I'm not driving like fucking. It doesn't take 30 minutes to get everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it maybe takes 20 minutes to drive from one side to the other of town, and that's about it. But
that makes sense.
Yeah. Is that a book?
This is a book.
I don't know what that shit is. Get that out of my face.
Is that an app?
That's yeah. Is that the boring version of a movie?
That's hilarious. But no, man, honestly, the podcast is just engineered so I can just be meeting people and like exactly like for you, like
you can be mean to people.
Yeah, I just want to be a real dick to a bunch of people. And that's kind of my premise.
Yeah, I like it.
It's almost like the Comic-Con sluts thing where you're like
oh yeah, Comic-Con sluts,
tricking people into thinking they're going to be on a podcast where they can talk about themselves, and then like sort of the way in I'm just like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, you're a fucking moron.
No.
That's cool that you had that buddy of yours on or whatever the first episode or whatever. That was really cool.
Right on.
Yeah, it must be. So he mentioned somebody semi-famous, and I was trying to look him up. Philip something.
Phil Kelly?
Yeah. So was that some famous dude, or is it?
Well, Philip Kelly, it's actually a really funny story. So Philip Kelly went to middle school with us, and he's a really smart kid, but he like didn't want to go to school. So he told his family, he was like, look, the internet's happening. I think all this school stuff is a waste of time. I don't want to go anymore. And they're like, cool, you don't have to. So he dropped out of school in 8th grade.
Oh shit!
And like didn't
even finish 8th grade.
No.
Damn.
And so his whole what Chris was talking about on that podcast is that there was this website back in the day called The Palace. Mm-hmm. Where you would create this avatar, and it was like almost like virtual reality, kind of like The Sims or something. But you would like go around and like talk to people, and there's groups and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so Phil spent like his entire life on The Palace. Like he created these amazing avatars, and would like go around and like give people advice and stuff. And he like grew a following on The Palace and became like Palace famous.
That's crazy.
And he's always still our friend. So it was just weird because it's like, you know, he'd just be like Goofy Phil, but you have this weird like internet presence, you know.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah,
like back before internet famous was a thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he's still on it and still doing it, you know.
I would hope he's doing something if he dropped out of 8th grade.
Well, I mean, he's got a good job. He's like
that's good.
He does like data analysis for a law firm or something, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't finish college. I failed out of 3 colleges, so
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just all about finding your right path, you know. I mean, I feel like college is a tool, and if you know how to use it, then you should, and if you don't, then you probably shouldn't.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
There's a lot of people signing up for like $120,000 of debt. They have no idea what they're going to use it for.
I know, dude. It's ridiculous. I have that conversation. Well, you know, it's funny because my mom gets nervous about me talking to my nieces and nephews about college.
Oh, really?
Because you know they're kind of like halfway through high school.
Oh yeah.
And they're at that age where you know, and but everyone in the family is just like, yeah, you got to go to school, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. And I can tell, at least for one of them, that they don't, you know, that's probably not what they want to do.
Sure.
And so, you know, I was just like, I mean, I failed from 3 colleges and I'm doing okay.
Exactly.
You know, I've got a roof over my head,
happy.
That sort of thing. Yeah, and I'm happy and whatever. And that's it. You know what I mean? But then my parents were like, don't tell them that. I'm like, why? Like, why?
Did you have any like college experience with AV, or how did you get into the AV field?
No.
How did you get hired?
That's actually the wild thing. So the only AV experience I had is my DJ company that I own. Not a big deal or anything.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
Drop that mic.
Bam. I'm gonna drop that mic on your face.
The DJ Cookstrong.
DJ Cookstrong, motherfucker. Yeah, where's the soundboard? Bam, bam, bam. Yeah. So I was doing IT work for fucking something in Jeff City for Scholastic. Fuck,
right on,
dude. No, not right.
Terrible.
On. It's fucking all 2 a.m. to noon, Monday through Thursday.
Jesus.
Fuck that shit, dude.
Good lord,
it was fucking.
That's
awful.
a weird shit.
Yeah,
I've never heard that shit in my life.
That was probably like
what's the shit?
Not to get morbid, but that was probably like the 3rd time in my life I wanted to kill myself.
Oh sure.
And so
we can definitely go into that.
Yeah, but. So it was one of those things where
I can match you step by step on suicide attempts.
Yeah, I mean, I only worked there for 3 months, but I just fucking hated it, dude. It was so miserable. And
what were you doing? Just running their networks or something?
I just did like data analysis. Basically, I was like a glorified paper clipper.
Right on.
Because I would print out reports and then paper clip them and put them in a box and then tape the box up to be shipped out somewhere.
I didn't realize you meant that literally.
Yo, yeah.
Okay.
Like that's literally what I did like all fucking morning and day.
Wow.
But then when it came to like the actual computer like part, they hired me as a temp and I needed a job, so I just took it. And they're like, yeah, so do you know computers? And I was like, I mean, I know how to, like, run a computer.
I'm an adult.
I'm like, figure it out. It's no big deal or whatever. Like, you need me to save a file, I can do that. But they needed, like, someone that knew how to do, like, C# and fucking, you know, C++ or whatever the fuck it was.
C#.
And I'm like, I don't fucking know how to do any of that. So I would just sit there, and they'd be like, yeah, like, do this on the computer to make this program happen or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And I just fucking be like, I don't know what's happening. And I would just like type and then delete it all because I didn't know what was going on. And for like a month, they didn't even know that I wasn't actually doing any work, that I was just pretending to type things.
That's hilarious.
But work was still getting done, so they really didn't need me that bad.
Yeah.
So...
it's like that Office Space thing where like you're getting a paycheck, but you're not really working.
Yeah, it's like just fucking took the cubicle walls down. But where's my incentive, Bob?
I love that movie so much,
dude. That movie's so fucking good. But yeah, it was just crazy. And so I hate, and I knew, I was like, fuck, if I keep this up, like I'm probably gonna get fired or something.
Right. That makes
So then
sense.
a friend, you would think I was still there for another 2 months, but a friend of mine called me up. He lives here in Kansas City, and he's like, hey, I've got this, or I'm working for this company. They do AV, and the way he described it to me is like, it's like being part of a big DJ company. And I was like,
Kind of true.
Well, kind of. But the way he described it was like, you get to work with clients and you set up a lot of audio and then you run the audio. And like, that's all he said basically.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, it sounds interesting. When really he should have been like, yeah, but it's fucking awful and they hate you and you're probably gonna want to kill yourself, but
Damn.
but it's pretty cool for the first couple years,
Right.
but until life sets in. But then so I needed a new job and I was like, I can't stay here, I can't do this 2 a.m. to noon, and I was still living with my parents and I had failed out of 3 colleges, and I was like, this sounds like a good opportunity. I don't know anything about audiovisual, but it sounds like a good opportunity. So, like, even the DJ company, I just, like, knew how to make work, but I didn't really understand how it worked.
That's pretty much where I was at.
Yeah. And so basically, I called them, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to, apply for the job. And then a week later, they're just like, yeah, like, can you start on this day and whatever? And I was like, oh, like, don't I need to come in to interview? And they're like, no, like, you just got the job. And I'm like, oh, like, is this a real thing or is this a fucking scam?
Right.
But basically, they're like, yeah, we need you to start in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so I had to stay on people's couches. Like, I just basically, like, I went home. I was like, Mom and Dad, by the way, there's a job opportunity in Kansas City. And I took it. And they were very excited. They're just like, that's great.
Sure.
Like,
get out of our house.
Exactly, yeah.
You fail out of college.
Well, my parents are both from St. Louis.
Yeah.
And so they moved to Jeff City, like, before I was born. So they're used to the big city. And they're like, this would be great for you. So they're super supportive, which was surprising to me. My girlfriend at the time, I called her.
Whoa!
And I know, yeah, I'm like tied down. What the fuck? That piece at the time I had, I called her. First of all, I asked for my money, and then I was like, "Hey, by the way, Tony's gonna be taking care of you from now on. Got clientele in Kansas
account.
City. Yeah, move your account. You just got iced."
Ghost.
Yeah. So my girlfriend at the time, I called her that day and I was like, hey, you know that job I kind of mentioned that was in Kansas City that I may or may not get? And she's like, oh, yeah, you're not taking it. And I was like, oh, they just offered me it and I took it. She's like, you're not moving to Kansas City. And I still remember my dad was like, oh, you finally grew a pair of balls, because that day I told her, I was like,
You really
no.
said that?
I was like,
Nice.
no, I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just telling you that I'm going.
Yeah, I'm a grown man.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
We're not
Goodbye.
married.
Yeah, and that was pretty much. She was like, "You're just moving so we could break up." I'm like, kind of.
Peace, Brianna.
Yeah, exactly. But
Have fun working at Kmart.
I remember because my dad's like, "Oh, how did your girlfriend take it?" And I was like, "Oh, I just told her like, yeah, that's just what I'm doing." And he's like, "You finally grew a pair of balls," because I pretty much let her ruin my life for like most of my time.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
But and we broke up shortly after I moved to Kansas City. But so I got to Kansas City, and then the reason why I worked so hard for that company, and
work hard.
I was so like optimistic. Thank you. I was so optimistic about it is because I was in constant fear that they could just fire me at any minute because I didn't know what I was doing.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I get there and there's a lot of people. Like when I started there was like 14 other full-time techs there. If you can fucking believe that.
At the Weston and
Yeah.
Sheridan?
Yeah, and so when I started there, and like everyone knew how to do stuff. Like basically, they would tell me to go get a wireless mic, and I wouldn't know what it looked like.
Right.
So I would be like, I would have to Google it and just hope that I saw something like it.
No way.
When I was going there.
Dang, that's crazy.
Because mostly they'd be like, yeah, go get me an IEC cable. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, you know what that is? I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'd walk to the cage and be like, what the fuck is an IEC? Like, Google it. And then I would look for something that looks similar to the picture that I saw. And that's what I did for like 2 months.
Wow.
Until finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ask somebody. Just teach me. Right. You know? So a good friend of mine, like, because he was leaving, and so he kind of like mentored me for like a month before he left. And I started to pick up a lot on that. And then, like, people just start dropping like flies there.
Right.
And I was like, this is a good opportunity. I'll go full-time.
Yep.
So then they offered me a full-time position because they knew people were leaving. So then I worked even harder because I was like, now I'm not even part-time anymore. Like, I'm in the shit. Like, I have to fucking, like, know my shit.
Yep.
So then I was just like, yeah, I just
Like,
want to be in front of clients.
You're basically like Donnie at this point.
Yeah.
Donnie is a Vietnam War veteran. He's a very intense man.
He is, yes. Yes, Donald.
And Donnie, if you're listening to this, I really love you, Donnie. He's an intense man.
I'm indifferent. But, no, Donnie's... So anyway, so we're talking about me now, not Donnie. But I'm going, you know, it's been a few, I don't know, it's probably been like a year that I've been there. And then I've been on the night shift, like 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And it was awesome because I got to like do my own thing and I just learned on my own.
Nice.
And I was there by myself.
That's cool.
So like basically I was at one hotel almost every day from like 3 to 11.
That's a perfect shift to learn shit.
Oh yeah. And so like I just would like pick up stuff and like I didn't have clients like breathing down my neck and stuff.
Exactly.
But then one day I was just like, you know, I want the clients. Like I want to be, you know, and they just like, they wouldn't trust me because I was such a character. They're just like, we can't put you in front of people. Were you already
saying crazy shit at that point?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which I totally.
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
I totally understand where they were coming from, but at the same time, I'm like, I can be a professional. Like, let me prove to you I can be a professional. You can
see their point of view, though, because there'd be points in the day where you'd come in and say something, and I'd be like, we're all getting fired for this shit. There's no way.
Well, you know. Like, just the fact that you laughed at it made you a horrible person or something.
Exactly. Like if you would come into a room and say something, and then there'd be like a client behind like a curtain or like around the corner. It's just like, we're all out of here.
We're all, but
the
thanks
fact
a lot,
that
Mark.
never happened is hilarious.
I know, dude. Well, see, the thing is, and I always tell people this, no matter where I go, because they ask me, they're like, how the fuck do you keep a job when you're so fucking, like, you just say the craziest shit all the time? And I tell them, I was like, because you have to be the most extreme professional when you need to be professional.
Right.
But when you don't need to be professional,
let it go.
Let loose and have fun. That's why you don't...
Drop it down.
That's how that gun doesn't look tasty at the end of the night. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and it's a true statement. I like 100% believe that in like any job. And
it just goes back to the people that you work with, like if you're having fun or not. You know, like that's what's changed since you've been gone, is that when you go in there, there's no part of the day where it's fun. So the whole thing is just drudgery, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this job is hard. And it's just like there's no like release. You know?
I appreciate that, man.
You know what I mean?
I like to release myself all over the place there.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Go on.
And then a client walks in, like, what did I just hear?
But you got along really well with clients. They love you.
I mean, I really... Well, see, that was the thing.
Did you ever get any complaints?
No. In fact, a lot of times there was things that I did wrong that I should have gotten in trouble for, that clients were like, like, my it's you. You know what I mean? Like my repeat clients and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like my repeat clients. I don't know how to say that nicely. Anyway, the clients I would always have every year.
Returning clients.
Yeah, returning clients. Thank you. They would, come up and they'd be like, "Oh, you're so silly," or you know what I mean? Or like I'd be like, "Oh, I'd be sweating bullets because something like messed up," and I'm like, "I'm so sorry," and they're just like, Mike, nothing's really wrong when you're here. You know what I mean? And
yeah, you do give off that vibe in that environment of like nothing can really go wrong. Like I think the big thing about AV and really just life in general is how you present yourself in terms of confidence. Because like when you were working, it was always that feeling of like, we can figure this shit out. It's not a big deal. We can just plug this in, plug that in. We're good to go. But there's a lot of guys you work with in that industry where they're freaking out all the time, and it's just like, this is not helpful. They're just like you know what I mean, though?
Dude, I know exactly what you mean. It's fucking crazy.
Totally. It's a very different, like, vibe. You know?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, I mean, I had to learn how to balance that, I had to learn how to, like, balance, like, having fun when it was time to have fun and then being professional when it was time to be professional. But it's funny, too, because that even carries over to my DJ company because... Like, they'll be DJ Cockstrong. Because of things like that, like, people will hear me say that, and they'll be like, oh, well, we have a wedding. Like, friends of mine will be like, yeah, we're having a wedding. And I'm like, oh, you need a DJ? I'll give you a great discount, or I'll do it for free or whatever. And they're just like, oh, we're going to go with someone professional. And I'm like, oh. And they're like, no offense, but... I mean, you're just so you.
You're a wild card.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, but when I'm DJing, I'm not like that. I'm a professional.
Right.
But they just never seen that before, which I totally understand. Like,
well, with weddings, like people's grandparents are there, aunts and uncles.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't want a bunch of D-bombs getting dropped.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Aunt Greta? Get on over here.
I got a 20 that says you're mine tonight. You know, like, what the fuck?
Tron will be handling your account.
Yeah, exactly. You just got iced.
You just got R. Kelly.
Yeah, you got R. Kelly.
Bring you into the fold.
All right, it's time for the first dance. You know? But, yeah, so, I mean, it's crazy because I'm obviously going to DJ my own wedding if I ever get married.
Word.
You know, but...
That'd be awesome.
It's actually really funny because I had an idea that I think is hilarious that everybody else is like, that's just fucking stupid. But I thought it would be, like, all these people I know, like, everyone I know is getting married. It's crazy. Like, everybody's like, right now is that time in my life. I'm 27. So, like, a lot of my friends are getting married and having kids.
People hit that 27-year-old age and they're like, fuck,
yeah,
I gotta get married.
I'm still just like knee deep in Tang, just fucking, you know.
Just wading through that Tang.
Yeah, not really. I'm alone. But anyways.
Whoa, so lonely.
But, yeah, anyway. So, but I was like, I'm gonna make really fancy invitations for RSVPs. I'm gonna rent out a hall.
This is a hell of a romantic thing that you're saying here.
I'm gonna send out the invitations to everybody. I'm gonna tell them to dress up and show up on this day, and then I'm gonna have like my 5 to 10 best dudes that I know and my 5 to 10 best chicks that I know, and they're all gonna be dressed up and sitting on either side of me at a head table, and basically it's like a wedding reception, but I'm not getting married. It's just everybody telling me how great I am, and then bringing me presents, and then we just have like a big drunk party
like
where
the
we
opposite
like dance.
of a roast.
Yeah, but it's like a wedding reception, like everything that would happen at a wedding reception, except for the fact that I'm not married to someone.
Just for you.
It's just for me. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome because like I want and I would send it to like not just my friends, but like my close family and stuff.
Right.
I'd be like, yeah, come over and wear a dress and wear a tux or whatever it is.
And see, right there, that is the purpose of this podcast. Because right there, we just generated a TV show idea. Can you imagine a Netflix series of just 12 episodes of people, it could be men or women, they've never been in like a serious relationship or something, like the time's come, it's just probably not going to happen, and it's like, boom, we're throwing this big, expensive, extravagant thing, and it's just going to be like people coming and telling you how amazing you are, and just like a hilarious like event through people's lives.
Oh yeah,
you know?
And then be like cake cutting and fucking like, you know, the first dance, but it would be like, I don't know, something super awkward or whatever. But then the best part is that
dancing with your own dad.
I get to the father-son dance, you know, that one. But
it's you, him, and your mom, all three dancing.
Yeah, exactly. But like a big banner that says I'm alone, and then but the best part is I get to go home with any chick at the end of the night. Just
That's a hell of a deal.
Yeah, there we go. Whatever.
Well, with Netflix money involved, you'd definitely be able to pull that off.
Oh, dude, for sure. But people would watch that shit too.
I think so.
Yeah,
for sure.
because they would go through you would go through I said yes to the dress. But there's no groom involved. It's just like you have a bridal dress.
Well, yeah, it'd be for people that really wanted to get married but had not met that person because they're so isolated by the internet now.
Exactly.
So it's just like a series of people that are just alone. They're just like throwing themselves little wedding showers.
Dude, just and I just think that would be so unexpected. Like you get an RSVP and they're like, "What? I didn't even know Mike was engaged." And then you look at it and you're just like, well, no, wait, what? It's a wedding invitation for not a wedding?
Or it could almost be like The Bachelor, where you send out a wedding invitation with Mike Casey and question mark.
And question mark,
it's three women that have to vie for your wedding day and different challenges.
Yeah, dude.
You know?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yep.
Now time for the R. Kelly contest.
That R. Kelly thing is crazy.
I know, dude. It's fucking
how he has sex camps. That is
know.
Bizarre. How is he not in jail?
I mean,
is it gonna take 55 years like Bill Cosby?
Dude,
R. Kelly's gonna be 89.
But did people know about Bill Cosby's back in the day?
Yeah, they did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was a new thing that just kind of.
No, in the Hollywood, people definitely knew.
Well, in Hollywood, yeah, but I meant was it open to the public?
Probably not. I mean, he was America's father figure for like 20 years.
Yeah, damn right he was.
Telling cats to pull up their pants and whatnot.
Come on, cat, dude. Dude, I've never said this phrase before, but this guy I know the other day, he went Bill Cosby on me. And I'm not saying he like put Quaaludes in my drink.
And then raped
you. Yeah, but he got so mad about something that he was like telling me about it, and
at the mouth.
Well, as he was telling me about it, he was like, "It didn't do," you know what I mean? Like he went into Bill Cosby voice, and I asked him, I'm like, "Did you mean to do an impersonation of Bill Cosby?" And he's like, "No."
That's
like
hilarious.
He was so confused, and he like wasn't mad anymore. And I was like, "Did I sound like Bill Cosby?" And I was like, "Yeah, like on the nose."
Nuh-uh.
But he tried to redo it, and he couldn't reenact it.
Is he a black fella?
No, like just some white dude that I know.
It's a white man that went into a Bill Cosby
dude,
impersonation.
And it was like fucking like if you weren't seeing him, you'd be like, that's a fucking Bill Cosby edit. But like I was like, the only way we can get you to do that is to get you really pissed off again. Like that's his Hulk power. You know what I mean? Like
that is
he turns
cool.
into Bill Cosby.
Wow.
I know, it was fucking great.
That's really funny. I like to think about like the Bill Cosby impersonators, like the stand-up comics who would like get paid to like go around and like do Bill Cosby material, but they're not Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And so that comes out and they're like,
what?
Their like whole lives are turned upside down.
He uses Quaaludes too, huh? That's crazy.
Hilarious.
We're connected more than I thought we were.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking wild. I don't know, man.
Yep. But yeah, man, I just want to talk about some comedy stuff and like
yeah, dude. Hit me
your
with
your podcast. I would definitely want to go more into your podcast and just like
I think I figured something out too. Do you have like an up and down arrow on your guy there? I think that's your gain. That's probably why.
It's the volume.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit, look at that. That's fancy.
Yep. Like, are you engaged? Still working on that movie?
I'm not engaged.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, so we are working on that movie, but it hit a lot of speed bumps.
Hey, man, that's the game.
That is the game, but, honestly, like, for me, I'm really just, like, trying to work on the podcast, you know? The movie, I think we could make happen, but I just don't want to rush it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, everything in my life just kind of, like, happens, and it feels right when it does.
Yeah, it's good.
And right now, it just doesn't feel like the right moment, so I'm just like... So I've been, like, trying to not, like, push it, on him, and I think he feels the same way.
Right on.
But we have, like a lot of people that were backing us and really behind us, and some people even willing to donate, like, thousands of dollars to, like, make it happen.
Nice.
And... then, one of our lead actors, he was like, the whole movie is offensive. Like, the whole fucking thing is offensive. Yeah. But
it's just like the style of like the Seth Rogen.
Right, but he was extremely offended by one phrase.
Which one?
In the movie where the character that I would portray, basically the character that I would portray is like the audience and himself don't know if he's like a closeted homosexual. Okay. Like no one really knows if he is or not, even himself in the movie. Sure. But he says a lot of things that make people think that he is. Yep. And people question hey, and every time it gets brought up in the actual script, like something happens where it gets interrupted. So no one ever finds out or knows. It's just kind of like that's the joke. Yep. But because when because I kind of like created that character when, Gage was like, yeah, so how do you want him to be? And I'm like, well, I want him to be really fucked up. Mm-hmm. But I'm like trying to think of something like, I was like, I didn't want to, because I know why I'm a fucked up individual. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I don't want to use that. That just seems like too real. So I want to go for something. I'm like, what if somebody was like, they didn't know if they were gay or not? And like they genuinely didn't know. There's definitely a
lot of people out there like that.
Yeah, and they're like, sometimes they think they are, but they're like, I don't really know if I am. Right. And like, I wonder if that would make them mentally unstable or whatever. Sure. And I guess I saw one of the actors' point because he was just like, but you're not that guy, so you don't understand what that's like. And I was like, okay. So
was he gay?
No, but he just
does he understand how acting works?
Yes, I guess not. But so the line in the movie was that the character that I would portray, he's in a grocery store and then like somebody brings it up to him and they're like, hey, just because you're a closeted homosexual doesn't mean whatever. And then he gets offended. He's just like, what? I'm not gay. I love pussy. Like he's just yelling in the store, in a grocery store.
That's hilarious.
He's like, I think, I'm gonna fuck every chick in this room, or what I mean. And then he gets upset and he starts storming away and he's like, make way, I guess there's a queer coming through or something like that. Like, just very, like, hamming it up.
I remember that scene in the script.
Yeah, but anyway, so one of our lead actors was extremely offended by the fact that the quote was said, there's a queer coming through. And so I was like, okay, we could change that. But then when we changed it to something else, it became a principle of the matter, because I was like, no, like, I'm the one that thought up this character.
Yeah.
And, I really, like, wanted to stick to my guns. I'm like, he should be able to say whatever the fuck he wants to say.
Not only that, it fits that character to basically be making fun of himself for being gay. It's like watch out, there's a queer coming through. Like, he's basically, like, making fun of himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
what I mean?
fits that character because he doesn't understand if he's gay or not.
So so this guy, and, I was trying to be like, okay, let's work with it, like, because he was like, okay, well, if you're not going to change it, I'm out.
Nice.
So
one of those.
Yeah, one of those guys. And
Over
we didn't,
one line.
and we don't have too many people that are interested in actually portraying other characters, like right now,
Yeah.
This was months ago, so we were still planning on shooting this fall, which got pushed back, but...
I definitely have something to say about that, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
And so, because... it went from like wanting to be like a full motion thing to basically we're just like we just want it to happen. We just want to shoot a movie, and we don't really care if it's shitty or not. We just want to say that we did something fun,
Right.
And as like a project, not as like a money making thing. And
well, the thing that I would say about all that is that have you seen Clerks?
Yeah.
The first Clerks.
Yeah.
So it's like you could make a movie like that now with this phone. Steven Soderbergh just made a movie with this phone and like nothing else. Yeah. So I mean, you can make your movies without a bunch of
like fancy equipment.
Well, you don't need to get a DP. I mean, you need lights and stuff, but especially for comedy, it's like the joke. Either the jokes are there or they're not.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to make it super fancy.
Right.
And the other thing too is it's like with the culture the way it is now, like in the way how you guys are funny and you're able to create stuff. You'd probably be better off for the time being just making like YouTube videos and put them on Instagram.
Yeah, see, that was our...
And honestly, the smartest thing you could do is to make like 5 or 10 skits, figure out which ones are the funniest, like the 3 funniest, and then pay like $3 to $5 a day for a week or two just to have people in Columbia see them. You can, target them on Facebook and Instagram, and then be like, yo, we're trying to do more of this. If you want to be involved in it, come, because there's a lot of kids in that city.
Yeah,
you can find actors.
Oh yeah.
But you can build up something instead of having to put all of it on like a movie.
Right.
Because who even watches that many movies nowadays?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I watch movies with people and like 3 minutes in they're like,
yeah, on their phone.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's not really the way it goes anymore.
I know, yeah. And that's what, I've been trying to, well, it's, for me, it's like a hobby, but for my buddy Gage, like he is a writer and this is like his job, quote unquote. And so to him, it's got a lot more on the line, know, which I get, but funny that you mentioned that. I'll get back to that in a second. So, so the whole thing with that is that we basically had to change my character's whole background. So like the whole script is like changed.
Really?
The character I portrayed, his background is now something totally different.
Really?
And he's no longer the, like, is he closeted homosexual or is he straight because he sleeps with a lot of chicks? It's now, like, something more, I don't know, relatable, I guess? But basically, it's like a sad, sap thing about seeing his mom die or something. I don't know.
Oh,
so
weird.
I was just like, God damn it. Like, I was just really upset. But it did spring on a joke because now... whenever that guy literally says, like, because, we've gone through other read-throughs and stuff, and when this dude literally says anything, I immediately just, like, I'm offended, and, like, raise my hands, and just, like, he'll be like, yeah, because he works on other plays and stuff, and he's like, yeah, I'm
a theater actor.
Yeah, he's a theater actor, and he was like, I play a man that, he's got a real big coke problem or something. I'll just be like, I'm offended. Like,
my uncle was a coke dealer.
Change everything about it.
That's hilarious.
But, so he gets really annoyed by that because I don't know. I don't even know if he's going to be a part of the movie anymore because
these kids are so touchy nowadays, man.
Well, he's like a 45-year-old man.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so
even better.
I know, dude. It's fucking I'm just like, what? But
sounds like he doesn't have a very good sense of humor.
He doesn't. He's very. I mean, he's a good dude. He's just very like. what the fuck?
Well, I mean, the thing about Gage being a writer is you don't have to write a movie and produce a movie to be a writer. Like, you can write skits and make videos.
Yeah, that's what I,
I mean,
that's what I try to tell him too.
Donald Glover is the host of Saturday Night Live tonight. His career is amazing. He got started doing YouTube skits. It's like you have to build up. What I'm trying to say is, like, don't like put something on a movie a year away when you could just be doing this stuff right now.
Right now. Well, see, that's what. So him and I have been trying to. It's a weird thing because people have, like. I mean, I can't believe it, but we actually have, like, fans that people
I'm a fan,
know.
for sure.
I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah.
But, like, people that I've never met are messaging us and be like, hey, like, we listen. And
how do people find
here's our input. I mean, I guess just friends of friends. I don't know. But, I mean, there's like a couple people that message us from, like, the UK. And they're just like, yeah, we listen every week. And, like, we have no idea who the fuck they are.
That's the power of the internet.
Like, people in Florida that, like, were messaging us and like, yeah, so cool. Like, we love you guys. It's just like, and it just, like, gets my cock hard. I'm like, yeah, let's fucking keep doing this, dude. Yeah, like, who needs that fucking Viagra? I got this message. How you doing? But, what I think it was, too, is that I did something I'd never seen before, but I created a Tinder account for our podcast. And it was, so it just says, like, Mike, my name, and then it says, like, parentheses, let's get weird.
Yep.
And then it has a picture of both of us in the Tinder, and on the thing it's like, the only date we're interested in is, Sunday nights for you to listen to us on whatever, SoundCloud and iTunes, and, like, we want to take you out for, like, audio orgasm or, you know what I mean? Just, like, weird shit. And it got a lot of attention.
Really?
Like, people thought it was fucking hilarious.
That's awesome.
And so that really
That's the shit right there.
That was something, like, that garnished, like, a lot of attention. And it was after that, like, now, because we had planned, between SoundClouds and iTunes, we're like, in a year, we'll probably get, like, 1,000... We'll estimate that we're going to get, like, 1,000 downloads or listens. Okay. Like, DLs or listens. And then we hit that in 3 months. Nice. And we're like, holy shit. Because we're like, yeah, we'll have time to plan, and we'll do, like, a little mini tour and go around. Because, like, on SoundCloud, it shows you, like, the cities that...
Oh, no way.
Like, that, like, most people listen to. And it says, like, how many listeners and stuff are from those cities. And so we're like, yeah, we'll hit up those cities, and we'll just, like, do live podcasts. Nice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, on Twitch or something.
Yeah.
And like, we had different ideas where we would set up a table in a park and just basically have an open seat and just tell random people, like, hey, come down and sit with us for 10 minutes and talk.
Tell the people that are listening, be like, hey, show up.
Yeah, and then, like, talk to us for 10 minutes and then go on to the next person or whatever.
That's cool.
And so we had all these ideas, but then, like, we just hit it. Like, all of a sudden I, like, look at my phone one day and I'm like, fuck, is that right? And so I'm, like, calling Gabe. I'm like, dude, we just hit 1,000. And he's like, already? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess. Yep. So we celebrated that, but we were already closer to 1,100 by the time we realized we hit 1,000. And now, just last week, we just celebrated, like, 1,350.
Nice.
So, I know, dude. So, I mean, it's super awesome. Like,
that is cool.
Because even we have 21 episodes out now, and then we have, like, a few little small things that we did. But I put so much time into it. Like, I probably work just as much on that as I would as, like, a regular, like, part-time job.
Right
on. But
well, if it's something you care about.
Oh yeah, but like, so we make no money off of it. But I even say, because somebody was asking me the other day, they're like, would you create, like, a Patreon for it?
You should, for sure.
Well, I'd said that what I really like what I always told Gage is I was like, no matter how, if it does well or if it doesn't do well, I always want everyone to have free content.
Sure. I agree with that.
And I want, like, anyone to not have to pay to get extra content. Because one thing I'm not big on is, like, DLC for video game. You know what I mean?
Right.
You already purchased the game. You should fucking get whatever comes with it.
I see that. I mean,
but
it is a way to make money too, though.
Yeah, I mean, I did say though that, and maybe down the line
you could do, like, ad free. Like, a lot of podcasts I listen to are ad free on, like, if you subscribe to Patreon or whatever, and then they have ads on the free version.
Oh,
stuff
okay.
Like that.
Yeah, and that's really cool.
Because I agree with you. Podcasts, it needs to be free.
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, because I had said, I didn't want to be cocky, but I was like, I feel like we could make something, like, good out of this. And I was like, even if we have one person listen each week and we don't know them and they just say, I enjoy listening to it each week. I'm like, I'm going to release an episode every week. Like, that's just how it's going to go. And I told him, like, it's not about the money. Like, and he just agreed. He's like, yeah, it's not going to be about the money. It's not going to be about, I'm like, we're always going to have free content, like, enough for everybody to enjoy. And it's just crazy because we've been thinking about all these different ideas that we're implementing soon that we've been working on. Like one of them that we're actually going to announce in Sunday's episode, or I think in 2 weeks maybe, but I don't remember which one I added it on to, but and one of them we're announcing that we're going to do a live Let's Get Weird on Twitch, like probably once a month. Nice. And it's going to be set up like a talk show.
Oh, really?
But it's going to be like...
Oh, I remember talking to you about
Yeah,
that.
we're going to be switching back and forth as the host.
Right.
But it's going to have like, intro monologue, it's going to have like the music.
Yeah, there should definitely be costumes involved.
Costumes, skits, you know what I mean? But it's all going to be like an hour-long live thing with like fake commercials and
that's awesome.
So like it's something that we're implementing hopefully next month.
Nice.
But if not, it'll be over the summer at some point. And but and I'm like, Gage, like we don't have to do it. You know what I mean? Like if it's too much work, you just let me know. And he's just like, no, dude, like I'm excited. Let's do it. Him and I, when we got really frustrated over the whole movie situation, that dude being a huge douchebag or whatever. And so one night we were making a podcast, and it was kind of I didn't remember what we were talking about, but basically it was not what we were supposed to be talking about. I kind of just like changed up the game, and I'm like, yeah, let's just talk about whatever. And I think we ended up talking about if we were in a horror movie, like what our plan of action would be if we were in like a scary movie or something. And so the whole time Gage is like filming us like while we're talking about it. I'm like, why the fuck is he filming? Whatever. So he's like filming on the phone. So anyway, then that night he's like, dude, let's edit the film that we made and let's go around Colombia and film different things that we talked about like in a scary movie situation, and let's make like an hour-long movie out of it. And so we did. So from like 2 a.m. until like 5 a.m., 5 or 6 or 7 a.m., something like that, we were in Jeff City in Colombia filming ourselves doing different things associated with what we were talking about in the podcast, and then we edited the audio over it and like basically made an hour-long movie that we're going to release.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it was all made in the span of like 7 hours.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it was really, it was really funny and it was really good. And like, even if it was shit, we were just like, yeah, we made it in less than a day.
Exactly.
Like we had finished editing and polishing it all within that one day.
Yeah.
And so, it's just, so we're going to release that too. So there's like a lot of little things. I don't know if you saw the porno skit we did, the live action.
Yeah, where you took the audio. And
yeah,
like
the audio from
the fake Playboy.
Yeah, the fake Playboy and stuff like that. Yeah, so
that was hilarious.
So we're working on more shorts that we've been
doing.
And
that's what I'm saying is that type of content, but where it's like actually to where you guys are like, a talkie where you're talking to each other.
Yeah, that'd be
stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's
we call those talkies.
That actually brings me to my other thing I wanted to go over.
Yeah.
It's just some of these skit ideas. So start out with the Kirk Sigs.
Oh yeah, dude, I need to order me some. My Kirk Sigs busted ass the other day.
Oh really?
Yeah,
they
man.
Finally gave out.
I know, dude. They gave out, dude. I was striking a pose, like a Mike Casey pose.
Classic.
And fucking a taint hole just ripped open into another dimension.
That'll happen.
I know, dude.
Gremlins started pouring through.
Yeah, I was really scared the children.
Kirk
in the park.
Kirk Sigs stand for Kirkland Signature. They're the Costco brand of jeans.
The best jeans you'll ever own.
And when Mike and I would work, he'd always come up and be like, he'd break a pose where he'd have to like stretch his legs out really far and be like, the Kirk Sigs.
Kirk Sigs.
So the skit idea.
Making Sigs cool again.
Yep, making the Sigs cool. So the skit idea is just like a fake commercial for Kirk Sigs.
Yeah.
Where Mike is like in all kinds of crazy situations and his pants don't rip.
Pose. Yeah. Yeah. Like running from zombies. Like, oh, you should have got the Kirk Sigs.
This next one might be my favorite. It's the garbage masturbator at work.
So a very important man from our old work. I'm not going to say any names, but he's kind of big and
Leo.
he's kind of big and dumb. Like, I don't know.
It's not Leo. I'm just fucking.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, if you think about like a fucking wild animal that escaped from the zoo, and they're just kind of like, what's happening? Like, that's kind of how I imagine this dude. And then someone put a suit on him and all of a sudden he became an important person at this place I used to work at. But but he was obsessed with like garbage, like picking up garbage, like picking up garbage, and like he would like you would walk by like a piece of paper on the floor, and he's like, oh, and like you just look at him, and he's an important dude, so you're like, yes sir, how can I suck your dick today? I mean, what do I need to do for you? And he's just like, are you really just gonna walk by that trash and not pick it up? And I'm oh, and like you go and you pick up this tiny little piece of something that's not even trash. It's probably like a piece of lint or something, and you throw it, and he watches you throw it away, and then he just like goes about his day. And so I mentioned, I was like, man, like everybody was like, that's so fucking ridiculous. I stopped. I'm like, well, what if that's like the only way he can get it up? You know, like that's his kink. And I just imagine Tuesday mornings when he hears, like, he wakes up to the garbage truck and he's just like, oh yeah, and like goes to the window and opens it up and just fucking unzips his pants, and you just see his face.
I can picture him with his morning cup of coffee in one hand, just standing there.
It just says Supreme Ruler on it, and he's just fucking drinking. And like as soon as they like get out, he's just like, yeah, pick up that fucking garbage. He's like jerking off, dude.
It's just like men doing their jobs.
Yeah, like he didn't actually have any trash. He just made trash so that he could have garbage.
Just shredded pillows.
Yeah, dude, like pick up the fucking garbage. Dude, like just fucking getting all hot and sweaty.
I like to think of him like walking around at work and like telling people to pick up trash, and then he's like writing into his phone notes, and he's like, yeah, 12:23 a.m.
Like the people that take track of like people pissing or whatever.
Exactly.
Like that's into that shit. Or he's like taking snapshots of them.
Yeah.
Or that's why he's taking pictures of everything.
Or he's like in line at a Starbucks, and like somebody throws some stuff into the trash, and he's like, he's like, I need a cigarette. That's a good one.
Dude, that shit.
We already mentioned spray print.
The spray print and the cock block, yeah.
I'll let you elaborate on those in your thing. And then the other one was Mike and Miker, like Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that, dude.
Because you guys in those outfits is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. For one of my proms, my buddy and I wore, actually Gage, my co-host.
12 Gauge Ninja.
Yeah, 12 Gauge Ninja. I told him that, I'm like, you don't have a YouTube career anymore. Don't do the 12 Gauge Ninja thing.
Still pretty baller.
Yeah, exactly. But
how old are you gonna be where you're referring to yourself as a 12 Gauge Ninja? Are we looking at 43?
Yeah. So great dude. Love the guy. Love the guy.
I personally like the 12 Gauge Ninja. It's kind of a catchy thing.
I mean, it is, yeah. But it's funny because I'm like, yeah, I'm Mike here with Gage, and he's like, yeah, 12 Gauge Ninja. I'm like, no. I'm like, enough of that.
That'd be another good skit. Is like a guy that won't drop his YouTube handle when he's like in a job interview.
Yeah, it's like a failed.
And they're like, all right, so Gage McAllister, and he's like, yeah, it's actually the 12 Gauge Ninja.
No deal or anything.
His like hands are like a promo frisbee.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's fucking good, man. Look at that, fucking perfect.
The broadcaster after sexting.
Oh yeah, so I had always thought. I mean, I feel like this has got to be a thing somewhere, but maybe it's not. I don't know, because I'm like
Japan maybe.
But I had always thought how, you know, like the cliche, like guy and girl, like first time together, and they're kind of looking at each other after sex, and she's just like, well, you know, how was it? And all of a sudden this dude fucking pops up with a suit, and there's like a scoreboard that pops up behind him, and he's like, all right, Tim, tell us how it was, you know, or whatever. He's like shouting because that's what they do, like after games, and he's like, yeah, tell us how it was, you know, and then the guy's just like, well, man, it was neck on neck for a while there, but I ended up on top at the end, you know, or something like that. And then
he's like, I'm here with Sarah.
Yeah, you heard it here, folks. Let's go back to Jim in the, you know, back in the station. And he's like around the corner on the side of the bed in like a little desk, and he's just like, yeah, let's take an instant replay of that fucking, you know, oh, barely missed the goal.
That reminds me of a Chappelle skit, like full on.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's what, yeah, I don't know if it's
not like of a particular one, but like of the tone of the show.
Oh, like, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But I just thought that would be hilarious because you see that, like, I mean, at least you used to. I don't really see it anymore, but, you know, it's always the cliche, like, well, how was it? And then they have some stupid answer. And I was like, oh, it was great for me. Was it good for you?
Yeah.
And I just think that would be hilarious to just like out of nowhere have these. And the chick the whole time is just like wrapped up in the blanket, like, what the fuck is happening?
And then there'd be the classic of, instant replay of when she faked it, It's like, you can see right here, this is not really into it.
She's not really into it.
She's just like rolling her eyes watching the replay.
And then you get the fucking Spanish soccer. It's like, goal!
That'd be the ending.
Yeah.
Goal!
Oh my god, dude.
We already went over the Kansas City pussy story.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good one. Bronies and their horrible lives.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Bronies apparently are a thing. Dudes that are into My Little Pony.
Definitely a thing. There's a lot of them out there.
It's fucking crazy, dude. That shit is fucking wild. But yeah, you could just go all day about talking how fucking shitty.
Just to do a mockumentary about a brony convention would be amazing.
Dude, that'd be fucking hilarious.
One of my
Not
friends,
to get actual bronies.
One of my friends is actually like on the fence of bronyism, where it's like he posts a lot about My Little Pony and stuff like that, and so it's like,
what? That's fucking
He's a cool guy.
He must be. Oh, I was gonna say he must have a lot of inner demons, but
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's happening with that.
No, he's good. He just likes ponies. Then the woe from Comic-Con Sluts, but different in Kansas City. So that one's basically where we just go around to people in Kansas City and basically like recreate the Comic-Con
Sluts. Which, if you haven't seen it, it's really fun.
What I'd like to do for that one is to be like, we could use this rig and with the lights and stuff and go out and be like, all right, this is for Visit Kansas City's website. Can you tell people what you love about Kansas City? We just need you to sign this release real quick. And they're like, oh, of course, I love Kansas City. I'd love to tell what's your favorite barbecue or blah blah blah. And they sign a release and you're like, all right, what's up, you fucking whores?
What's up, you sluts?
You're just like talking shit to people.
Good job, Dad, on those titties. All right, yeah.
The beauty of the whole concept of the Comic-Con Sluts thing is the signing of the release. So you can translate that into a million different other things.
Yeah, dude. And I love how like they're halfway signing it, and he almost blows it every time. He's like, he's like, we're not gonna like put you on Girls Gone Wild or something, right. You know what I mean?
And they're all just like, what?
Yeah, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be signing this, and then like, oh, good, it's all good. He signed it. Yeah, perfect. Welcome to Comic-Con. He like rips his shirt open. Says, what did it say? He had a mustache that said free rides.
I just love the idea of going up to like Midwestern people and being like, yeah, you want to talk about how great Kansas City is?
Yeah,
and they're like, yeah, and then
just
being like, whoa!
Wow, yeah!
allmikeonly.com.
Oh, yeah. So this is still something that
just needs to be a real thing.
That's
not even a joke.
I know. I need to set that up, but I thought, there's all these like dating websites out now or whatever, and like so many of them are just filled with fucking bots,
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, how funny would it be to make a dating website that is purposely all bots,
right? And
so what the whole premise of it would be I was like tampering with the idea of michaelonly.com because it kind of plays on Michael Lonely, like, and then you would get on and it would be me in different costumes portraying every applicant,
right? Exactly.
And so like you would have like cop Mike.
I'd like to see like Korean Mike
down on his luck Mike.
I'd like to see like Korean chef
Mike, like Korean tourist Mike, or Chef Boyardee Mike,
Australian outback like horse wrangler Mike.
Yeah, like camping Mike or something stupid like Dr. Mike.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying is that like between you and Gage and me and stuff, like we could make like a Key and Peele type of thing.
Oh, dude,
where it's like it doesn't have to be a movie.
Yeah,
like you can write anything.
Well, see, that's what I'm really interested in doing that because I feel like my comedy is like my brain where it just like comes up with an idea fast and then it just dies hard.
Yeah, don't put it through that whole process. Yeah. Just get it right there.
It's just really hard to like.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just fucking.
That's why the podcast is good. Because it trains you to just be like, oh yeah, we can just do this.
Well, see, that's the thing, because I had mentioned to you, I was like, oh, like I don't know if you script anything or not, but you don't have to worry about that because one thing, the very first episode Gage and I did, we actually were just doing it as a test episode. We didn't even know we were going to release it until I was like, man, that was really good. Like, let's just make it our first episode. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, but we didn't even script anything because we were like dabbling in the idea of scripting. And I was like, no, it sounded good. Mm-hmm. So then the second episode we did was Ridiculous Miss, which was about Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so then we had a script for it. And I just was like, I mean, you could tell in the episode I'm just miserable. Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, like, you know, like just trotting along trying to get through it.
Right.
And so then I told Gage, I was like, here's the thing, man, no more scripts.
Yeah.
I'm like,
why?
And I'm like, and it's just gonna be totally like, and then. But for him, it was really hard I felt bad because I'm like,
well, I mean, if you want to
I'm the creator of the show, so this is what we're going to do. But I always ask for his opinion, and I'm like, I'll always hear you out, but ultimately, like, I have the final
But
say.
the thing is, man, in 2018 is if you want to do something, then you can just do that on your own. Like, if he wants to do a scripted podcast, he can do a scripted podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't have to do it.
And even when I was dabbling in the idea of doing a podcast by myself, I had imagined doing a scripted podcast.
So
Like, I had
much
written
harder.
out my first podcast, which I may, like, release,
That'd be funny.
you know, or whatever, because it was between me and Other Mike, which the Other Mike is obviously me, but it's just like, you know,
Don't ruin the illusion.
Oh, yeah, sorry, but...
I just have 3 more and then we'll wrap up because I got to go to White Cloud with Kanzi.
Oh, gross.
Colby.
Who's Kansas?
I was trying to say Kansas.
Oh, sure.
This one just says stuff about Jacob and how weird he is. We just skip past that one.
Yeah.
Mike's Disney Fable. I don't remember what that one is.
Oh, dude, remember when I went to Florida and I called myself Mike Disney?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so layman, basically in a small term, to, you know, whatever. Basically, like, if you want to listen to the whole story on this Sunday's episode 22, it's the Bachelor Party episode part 2. Is all like I explained the whole story, but basically we were in Disney World and I pretended like Walt was my actual like father, and that Mickey Mouse was like my stepbrother, but Walt basically hated me,
Right.
and loved Mickey, and
yeah.
Mickey's like a huge douchebag mobster,
Right.
like yeah.
But
like,
you did say that Walt Disney is actually quoted as saying, "I love Mickey Mouse more than any person I've ever known."
I know, yeah, that's where the joke came from because I was really drunk and I was just like, "You never even loved me, Dad," and then Mike Disney just came from there, and I would tell people while I was
Mike
there,
Disney is solid.
I'm Mike Disney, and they're just like, "What the fuck is that?" Or I'd like be standing in line and see a picture
from
of,
here.
Exactly, and I would see like a picture of like Mickey Mouse and Walt together, and I'd be like, "Fuck you, Dad! You never loved me," and I'd like run away, and people are just like, "What?"
But how funny of a concept is that Walt Disney sired an illegitimate child in Kansas City, and then that child had another child, and here you are.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Mike Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Mike
fucking
Disney.
hilarious.
But I have like free access to the park at all times to just know what I'll never have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Mickey like beats the shit out of me. Like, yeah, it's just.
And then this will be the last one. Is Mike is a Swedish YouTube star.
Dude, yeah, just what a great idea just to walk around town.
Yeah.
Like just fucking walk around everywhere in town and then fucking pretend that I'm a famous person. Like,
Yeah.
how fucking crazy.
It's so easy because YouTubers, nobody knows who they are. You
Yeah,
know? It's like regular people have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like all we have to do is take this rig, the light, go down to the plaza,
have a couple people follow me with like Taz cams or whatever.
Yeah, film you, you know, buying sunglasses and signing autographs and stuff, and people would just be like, "What the fuck?"
Dude, that would be fucking hilarious.
Can you do a Swedish accent?
He's
He's Italian.
Oh, okay.
It can be any
Oh,
nationality.
yeah. Or I'll just go around and go, Dusen, you know, or...
Or what if we like tricked people into thinking that you were like the Anthony Bourdain of Italy, where like you were coming to America to show people in Italy what it was like, and you're like, "Look at this meatball! It's nothing like us.
This guy's just a bag of meat.
It's just a bag of meat."
Luigi, get over here. You'll never believe this.
Well, shit, Mike, this is a hell of an episode.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for coming
Sorry,
out.
I'm sure I like dragged it on way too hardcore.
No, I appreciate it. I like really long
I
episodes.
was gonna say when I get talking, I try to like Gage and I try to like make ours an hour long, and it's super
Why?
hard. Mostly because we like want to keep to a standard, and like so our specials are an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then our regular episodes are right out like an hour.
I'll tell you right now, man, my favorite podcasts are like 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, see that's what we were like going for at first, but since we release every week,
True.
and I
Smart.
have to have like a day job, basically
Gotta make that money.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because him and I do like he'll text me and be like, "Man, I got a fucking hilarious story to tell you." And I was like,
Right.
"Yeah, what is it?" And he's like, "No, I'll wait till the podcast."
Nice. That's awesome.
And I'm like, "Fuck."
That's really cool.
Yeah, or like sometimes like we'll be driving together somewhere and I'll be talking to him about something and I'll just stop. And then him and I won't say a word to each other, and then as soon as we get back to his place, we'll record
Nice.
it.
That's
you know?
awesome. That's a hell of a
So
thing.
yeah,
So once again, this has been Mike Casey of the Let's Get Weird podcast. Find
Thanks,
it on
man.
the internet.
SoundCloud and iTunes,
SoundCloud and iTunes.
Facebook, Instagram.
Serve that
Instagram's
up.
at the Let's Get Weird. Twitter's at the Let's Get Weird. And Facebook is just Let's Get Weird.
So let's get weird.
Alright, so that was me and Mike Casey. You can find Mike at the Let's Get Weird on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, podcasting apps, etc. And you can find me at It's Dylan Allen on all those same platforms, and also itsdylanallen.com. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. The whole purpose of this podcast is just to have fun and connect with new people and to kind of generate new ideas. And I feel like we did that on this podcast for sure. This music was once again brought to you by Bonus Points. Check him out on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, etc. And yeah, I hope you had a great time and come back for the next one. Thanks. Bye.